Hello, Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout. And today was Max Effort Deadlift Day. Now, last Max Effort Deadlift Day didn't go too well because I haven't been doing heavy deadlifts really, even with my Max Effort work. And we need to build that up, find the weak links, and then build all those weak links up. So, what we do today? Went pretty hard on these today, on these sumo pulls. Now, last time I said my grip was an issue. It was an issue of fatigue, also dealing with recovering from all the added conditioning work, which you guys are now seeing a lot of and realize I really wasn't joking. But I've done a lot of grip work. Grip held good. Grip held really good. Now, I did have one of these where the grip felt a little slippery, but I hadn't chalked up, and so I came back, chalked up really good, and I hadn't applied chalk between the singles. Chalked my hands up real good and squeezed the bar really hard as I started going heavier, and that resolved it. So as far as using heavy chains, I pretty much got a PR building back up, which ended up only being 465 with 95 pounds of chains. And yes, I know that's not an enormous amount. Not an enormous amount, because here's 445. This was a little slippery, but my thumbs weren't chalked very well. I didn't grip the bar very well. And I had to go back and say, okay, I just know I need more chalk. More chalk on my hands, get the bar gripped really well. And I found that it held very effectively next time. But this one, as I got it to lock out, I set it down pretty quick because I felt the grip a little slippery. But I realized it wasn't my grip, it was just me not squeezing the bar hard enough on the hook and the chalk having worn off a little bit. So I chalked up good, went for this one, which was a PR. And what people need to remember, deadlifts are going to be one of these lifts I'm not going to be scared of failing. And the reason for that, I really need to push my deadlift numbers up. And I feel like deadlift is a little bit of a weak link relative to my squat at the moment. So to do that, I need to really find my weaknesses, and I need to actually miss attempts. See, that was strong. Held it at the lockout, it was good. So basically, 465 with 95 pounds of chains. So what? What is that at the top? I don't even know. 560 at the top. So it's okay for the grip. So I tried to go a little heavier. I went up to another 30-pound jump because I thought I might be able to get this, but if I didn't get it, this would tell me where my weaknesses are. And I could kind of feel where I'm weak at and then know what we need to work on. But the grip held. If you guys notice, I get it just to the knee, and then I just couldn't hold it. I came down. And I just couldn't quite get that stand up. Now, some people looking at that might say, well, is that back? No, it's not my back. It's not my back. It felt like it was my glutes and my hamstrings. And I know that if I had just had more hamstring and had just powered through with the hamstrings more and had the glutes to help me lock the top, I would have just stood right up with that. So that lets me know where my weaknesses are. And that's what people need to remember. The squat, bench, and deadlift are not necessarily what we always use to build strength. They're testers of strength in a lot of ways, and even their variations. And even with the box squat, how did I build that 500 plus pound box squat? Did I do it by doing a bunch of heavy box squatting? No. I did it by building all the performance elements and hypertrophy to get the box squat up. And the box squat will actually build the sumo deadlift. But that kind of let me see by taking a rep up to where I could almost get it and just missed it due to just sheer inability to lock it through with the power. All right. As I was getting close to the lockout, I just ran out of power. And what we need to remember is that the deadlift is a strength tester. The deadlift in general, whether it's a sumo, a conventional, doesn't matter. It's a strength tester. It tells you where your weaknesses are. And if you're strong top to bottom, you're going to have a strong deadlift. Now, if your hamstrings are a weakness, you're going to not have the best deadlift. If your grip is a weakness, you're not going to have the best deadlift. Whatever it happens to be, you find those weak links, and it's good for that. So in this case, the grip training has been working because I was able to hold on to it just fine. No problems there. And I'm going to keep doing a little bit of supplemental grip work. All the loaded carries, all the chins, and then the pinch block work is helping. Okay, that's all helping. My grip is coming along. Grip's coming along. But I need to keep doing that, and then I need to address more glute work, more hamstring work. And just like I'm doing on the max effort days for the benching, what are we going to do on the lower body days? We're going to assess weaknesses and do a bunch of additional volume, because all the conditioning work I've done has built my work capacity, right? As far as conditioning goes, I'm in pretty good shape and continuing to improve. I do a ton of Metcon work, do a ton of it. because we need it. We need to be in shape. And so my work capacity is high. My maximum recoverable volume is high. So use it to do supplemental lifts. So in this case, we're going to do just like yesterday on the bench day. We're going to take 3 really good supplemental lifts, and we're going to do 5 sets of 10 with relatively challenging weights for that. So I did my normal step ups. This is a normal for me. This is a mainstay right now. This is what's really bringing my quads up. Now, I did a slight weight bump on it, and it didn't feel super challenging. Actually, I went up 5 more pounds. For those curious, that's 75 pounds on the bar. I weigh 220. And though we might say, well, your lower shin isn't in there, your calf. Okay, well, I'm also wearing a boot on the other foot that comes up. So I'm still, because I've eaten breakfast and stuff since then too. My 220 is what I weigh in the morning when I step on the scale. Right? I've had food. I've had coffee. So I'm still got 220 coming up, plus the 75 pounds. So it's basically 295 coming up on each leg from that deep squat position, because that's below parallel for me. And so it's a pretty good amount of work. Because I've said some people look at that and say, well, I don't know, is that really that challenging? It's like, that's 500 plus pound squatter level strength. Okay, because that's what you guys know that I squat. That's not even a point of controversy. Because I do it on camera. So yeah, this is the sort of quad strength you would expect from someone who squat 500 plus pounds, right? But it needs to go up. It needs to go up. I need to be able to do this with maybe another 25 pounds on the bar, right? So that 75, I need to get to where I do these with 100. Maybe 105. How's that? But let's shoot for 100, right? That's going to be a goal. Do 5 sets of 10 with 100 pounds on this. That'll be pretty reasonable, assuming I stay at a similar body weight, which I plan to. Been at the same body weight pretty much all year, just slowly recomping. But we need to address these different muscles. So it's like I knew today the quads have to be done. And it's because I need the quads for my squat. So even if they're not the weak link on the deadlift, my quads have to have this extra work. This is a high priority. Because just because my squat is my best lift right now, doesn't mean we don't want it to improve. But my squat will improve purely by virtue of training the weakest muscle. Right? Purely by virtue of progressing on a supplemental lift for the weakest muscle in my squat. That will increase my squat. But you identify the weak link. You just build it. So we keep doing this. We build the quads. My deadlift right now, we know the grip is no longer the weak link. It did seem to be an issue real recently. Doing more grip work. So you had a little misstep there. I ended up doing an extra rep at the end of the last set to make up for that on that weak leg. So we keep doing the grip work because we know it can turn into a weak link if we're not careful. Plus all the Metcon work can make my fatigue level go up, which will reduce grip strength, right? So we need the stronger grip. As of now, I've got to learn to engage my hamstrings more. Now, a lot of people will say, but Jason, you got jacked hamstrings. Yeah, I do. But I need to be able to engage my hamstrings more effectively on that deadlift. So that means I need to learn to use my hamstrings and build them through wider movements. And I need to bring my glutes up more. So the rest of the workout after this is going to be geared heavily towards that. Although there is obviously some T-spine work involved with my good morning because I'm doing them with a safety squat bar. But just making sure I get more glute and hamstring work. So I finish up with some glute bridges. And I don't normally do glute bridges. About a third of my clients do glute bridges. So these guys, they're going to watch it. They're going to enjoy watching me glute bridge. Some of them glute bridge as much as I do for the work sets of what I did today. But you guys enjoy that while you can. Those of you who are watching, because I know all my clients watch these. It's like you guys enjoy that while you can if you're glute bridging as much as me, because I'm going to put another 100 pounds on there for my sets of 10. So enjoy it while it lasts. Because they're going to snicker. They're going to give me a hard time. I know I have one right now. He does like 10 pounds more than what I do on those. So he's going to give me a hard time, but that's okay. We can make it a contest. We can turn a supplemental lift at the end of the workout into a contest for coach and client. That's the fun thing, guys. Like when you coach people, even though it is a mentor teacher role, it can be really fun because things can turn into a contest. You do need to compete, right? Needs to be a little bit competitive men. That's what lifting's all about, isn't it? All these guys who say this silly stuff, lift for yourself, don't compare yourself to others. Okay, guys, if you're going to be if you want to be strong, you need to throw that away. All right, don't do that for the bodybuilding world because those guys are all on enormous amounts of anabolics. And genetics play a role. Okay, I get that. When we're talking about strength, you better compare yourself to other people. You need to compete. You need to be hungry. Right? You need to compete against other people on some way. That's how you get strong. Right? And what I mean is, hey, can I get stronger on a supplemental lift with good form? That's still competition. We're not talking about ego lifting. It's like, can I do 5 sets of 10 for full range of motion with a heavier weight than you? Right? You can compete. You can have a contest. That's lifting, guys. That's what lifting and training is about. Men compete with each other. And that's definitely part of orc mode. So then we did these. I took a little bit of weight off, because I'm like, I want to get 5 sets of 10, and I feel like I'm fighting with more core than anything, and I'm not getting quite the deep stretch and range of motion I really want by going a little too heavy on these, especially when they press on your neck and knock you out of breath. This was a slightly better weight, especially with short breaks, 5 sets of 10. I felt like I got a good hard training effect, especially the last 2 sets. Like the first set wasn't bad, and then as it starts accumulating, I could definitely feel the work. Definitely feel the work. So, 5 by 10 with this. And for those curious, we're like, well, how much weight is that? Well, 65-pound bar, right? Blues are 45s, blacks are 10s. How much weight do you think that is? Do the math, fellas. It's only 175. Safety bar is harder. Anyone who's done the safety bar knows that you're not going to be able to do as much weight. Think of the lever arms, the moment arms involved. It's further up your neck. It's actually on your neck versus being down on your back. It's adding length to the lever. It's harder. You can't do the same weight. But what does that mean as far as the glute and hamstring and everything? That's all getting hit. Just because it's heavier weight, you still have to contract against a different lever. It can be tough on your neck, though. It does feel like you're doing neck training. Like this feels like you got a neck harness on doing the neck work. Right, and that's one of the things I had done for just a little while, and I'm not doing it right now. I might add it back in. I was doing some neck work just to be able to do this pain-free. And I probably should add some more back in since I want to do these at least once a week. I'm not going to do them twice a week. I think I want to work on glute bridges. I'm going to do these once a week, just like my step ups. And I'm going to focus really heavy on box jumps and glute bridges on my speed days. Right? I think the glute bridge is something I really need to get strong at and do more of, because I felt clumsy and weak at it today, and I know it will work my glutes, my hamstrings, my core, all the muscles really that feel like they were my limiting thing. They're the muscles that gave out on that deadlift attempt. Those muscles need to come up. So I need to train the holy hell out of them. And I need to be able to train them in a way that it's a lot of volume. And a glute bridge, because it's easily loadable and it works those muscles all very, very effectively, it's a great exercise. I mean, a lot of physical therapists are even using it these days, stuff like this. Glute bridges, hip thrusts. All right, I think it'll help. It'll help. In worst case, people would say, well, what if that really isn't your biggest weak link? What if you've misdiagnosed it? Yeah, that's possible there. Maybe it is my back. You know what? I'm doing good mornings. I'm going to do a bunch of chins later. I did 80 chin-ups yesterday after my thing. I was going to try to get to 100, but I just got tired. I did 80. So I'll do a bunch of chins later, do a little grip work later. And then tomorrow's GPP day. It's full GPP. I'm not going to do it. On my max effort days, I don't like to do a bunch of GPP. I like to just do a bunch of chin-ups and stuff. And that's fine. If you do 80-plus chin-ups after your max work, that's good enough for the conditioning. As long as I'm doing conditioning at least 3 to 5 other days, we can live with chin-ups. The main thing, I want to hit that 500 chin-ups every week, though. That's definitely still on my goal list. I like to try to hit 500 chins. Eventually, I want to get to 100 a day. I feel like when I get to 100 chin-ups every single day, I think that'll be good. In fact, that'll help my back, my biceps, my abs, because it's good core exercise, and this is a good core exercise. So it took me a bit to get into the groove, and like I ramped up a little bit, and I got on these, and they were just, it took me a bit to get into the groove, finding my footing, learning to keep the, my toes down, getting my heels further enough under, finding the spot where I'm not hitting the rack. It took some manipulation. And, part of it, some people say, man, you're really going to do 5 by 10 the first day doing it? Yeah, I need to. I need the volume, okay? A lot of times with a new lift, I might say, well, I'll do 3 sets of 10 and call it quits. Look, I don't need to do that. I've built a massive work capacity. I've been doing all my conditioning work. I need to utilize that. That needs to be used for hypertrophy, and it needs to be used to hit my weak points. I really need to, on my max days, I really need to do 5 full sets of 10 on 3 different exercises that really hit my weakest muscles. It just needs to be done. These muscles all have to come up, all of them. I've got to get better body composition. I've got to get more jacked. Got to gain muscle, got to lose fat. That's what we have to do to get stronger. So yes, we do the max work. Yes, we do the speed work. But we've got to do all the training volume. We've got to maximally hypertrophy everything. Because you can't get that jacked off nothing but maxes. But you need to do the maxes to get maximally strong. And you need to do maxes to know where your weak links are. I'm just telling you guys, you have to train max effort lifts. You have to. You're not going to get strong if you don't. And you're not going to find your weak links. And it doesn't have to be just the classic lifts. These variations will still tell you. Because any big exercise, if you find the weak link on any big massive exercise, it's going to tell you the weaker links in your body. Because we shouldn't have weak links. And doing maxes, missing maxes, or hitting grindy maxes on big movements, that's what finds the weak links in your body. It doesn't matter whether it's your grip or your pecs or your hamstrings or your abs. It finds it. And then you know where you need to put your real efforts. You always prioritize your weak links. Beat them up with 5 sets of 10 twice a week for extra movements. But these went good, so I'm going to try to increase the weight on these. I'm going to really put a heavy focus in these because I feel like they're a little weak. They're a little awkward with only 265. I'm going to bring them up, get strong at this, and I think between this and the good morning stuff and the extra grip work, that deadlift's going to come right up. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.